Okay, perfect. So I guess we can just start by introducing ourselves and then introducing the leadership styles we thought related to us the most and like what we would use it in youth development. Um, so I'll go first. After reading both articles, I realized the relationship style I use, I think would fall somewhere in between mission focused and collaborative. I think it's because I care a lot about the people and the work behind the scenes. Um, and I like involving people and thinking about decisions rather than just delegating them out. So yeah.
So I'll go second. My name is Cassidy. I'm a first year master student here at A&M. And so after reading these articles, I kind of pulled ideas from both of them that stood out to me. Um, I kind of like how the leadership in youth and nonprofit organizations is less strict with the management and more engagement and development and with the mission focus. From the first article, I really like the shift from simply managing the volunteers to actually engaging with them. You know, getting away from the traditional methods and then getting into actually using those volunteers to use them as a transformational, or yeah, I think I'm saying it right. Is kind of what I lead towards with my own. And with the second article, I kind of found that to be kind of the same thing, but from a different angle. It actually, examined the actual career paths of nonprofit executives and found that there's no single way to become a leader. The things that actually matter um, are like the mission focus, experience, and broad skill development. So kind of like that. Both of these kind of pushed me to see leadership isn't just a coordination; it's about faculty growth and building the mission. Yeah.
So I'm Emily, and can you all hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my thing like wasn't lighting up. But I do agree with Macy too about the mission focused career. I do agree on that. Just because in these youth developments, it's important to connect with everybody and make sure everybody's on the same page. And the mission is kind of where it starts. So just being able to coordinate with everybody and make sure everyone's on the same page to achieve that mission is kind of what I took away from both of them and kind of what I see important as well in youth development processes.
I feel like we're all like on the same page because
Yeah.
so what I put like or have kind of written down, I I think it's really, really important to build relationships with people in general. I think that's how you get places, right? And so whenever you are talking about leadership and figuring out how to lead an organization or anything like that, you have to start with the people and what you want to achieve, not so much of you need to do this so that we can go do that. Ask them
Hmm.
more of like, hey, what are you good at? What do you
Hmm.
enjoy doing? So then it's easier to work together in that way, and you're still combining the mission and management.
Yeah, I agree. I'm Braden Spears, and
Oh,
we all kind of agree on the same thing, obviously. And then from the first article, when it had kind of like the framework, like the table of like framework. Sorry, my alarm just went off for no reason. The thing or the section that I kind of most felt I agreed with was the transformational section, where like values diversity of thought amongst all involved. I think including diversity of thought kind of allows you to not like get pigeonholed in one idea. And then like we've all talked about like having collaborative leadership, kind of bringing all the people in power together to create like more of an dynamic and like an adaptive organization. So
Yeah, and okay, I'm Hannah Faith, and so building off of what you said, Brayden, I think it really is largely about that process. And when I was thinking about leadership styles, I was thinking about a democratic participative style of leadership, so where everybody really has a say and are all actively engaged together, and it's that process of getting all these ideas out to the final process product that you're hoping for. And I think that reflecting off of the the VEF article, that volunteer engagement framework, that participative style is required to move from that targeted or transitional level, where the professional is still retaining like final authority, into that transformative place that we want to be.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, from the Washburn and Crocker article, the idea that stood out to me the most was I think their shift from territorial leadership to transformational leadership. And I think they explained really well a lot of past volunteer management models were really checklist based and they didn't focus on relationships or the professional's own leadership skills. And so, like, when I looked at the four levels, I think I see myself aiming for like that transformational level.
Mhm.
That's a level where volunteers, or I guess team members, are treated as partners or as equals. And you can share the decision making and you could share part of the creation process. And I think you're not just trying to manage people, you're letting them be a part of something. And I think that resonates the most with me because I'm not a micromanager. I think everybody should have a say in a part of something, that affects them.
Yeah, and that builds
Yeah, I
right
would
off
make.
of, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Anna.
I was just going to say that builds right off of that transformational leadership style that was mentioned earlier, also. And so rather than exchange of reward for performance, like you said, you're focusing on building up those followers so they can exceed their own self interest to mesh with the team's interest. And like you said, become those great co creators and take ownership of that mission, like you were talking about, Macy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it kind of just helps them feel like they're a part of that as opposed to having that one person that's like, this is how it's done. If they're involved, then it kind of lets everybody have, the power to say, I like this or don't like this. And you get perspectives from everybody, especially like the volunteers and people that are actually engaging with the like youth in the program. So I think that's really important too.
Yeah, like kind of including everybody and being collaborative like allows everybody to address issues or like identify issues that need to be fixed or identify things that the organization's good at and like continue to chase that. I just think including everybody like allows for more success as a whole. And something you talked about, Macy, was like the professionalism, the professional development, and then from the territorial transformational article, it talked about there's only three models that included professional development, which I thought like I didn't that was kind of crazy. Like I thought it's pretty important to like include professional development among the leaders of the organization as well as like the people or the in our situation like the youth, like including all of that as well.
Yeah, I really think like the whole point of that article is to explain that I think it's important to make sure people feel heard and not just being supervised. I think that's how you keep people motivated, engaged, involved, and I think that's what matches the VEF's idea of engagement. It's a relationship, not just administration or management.
Agreed. Um, so on the assignment thing, it for the questions, it kind of talks about how we need to like what you would do in practice. So for me, that this is where it really kind of makes sense to me because I'm an ag teacher and so I'm in charge of hundreds of students a day. Um, and I always try to make sure that I'm a leader for them, right? But whenever I'm practicing leadership, I build the relationships and I lead by example. And so like if the leader of an organization or the leader of something thinks that they're above anything that the mission has kind of put into place, then none of the members or the people that are supposed to be following that leader are gonna do what they're supposed to do. So that's kind of my like how I apply this, I guess. I participate and I try to lead by example.
Yeah, I'm a teaching assistant right now, and I teach floral design, and of course, for a lot of people, it's their first time, so trying to have like patience with all of them, and letting them figure things out for themselves, but also making sure that they are sticking to what's required of them as well. So I think it does go hand in hand with like teaching too. So that's kind of what I engaged it with too.
One thing I really kind of like, I guess, connected it back to because it's things we do like at the end of the semester, you know how like the teachers ask for feedback or whatever, and the students go in and say like what they liked about the class or what could have been done better. I think that's a great way to involve past students even to make the course better for future students. So I think that's kind of how I connected it in my head. And I think like you guys said, um, let the people that are participating, the students or whomever it is, be part of the planning process, not just doing a part after the fact.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
for me
what you said
personally,
makes me like, sorry.
no, sorry.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
for me personally, I'm like a first year master's student working on a big research project. And I see this like not even, so I'm a writer on the research project. And for us to be able to be in the planning process and actual research part, I really see that helpful for me. Not just being told like this is the findings and this is what we're going to write about and these are the sources we're using. Being in those meetings that the professors are sitting down with us and explaining to us why we're doing this and how we're doing it. And yeah, that's a personal experience for me. Though, like the boots on the ground was helping us learn as we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, what you said, Macy, about like allowing people to give or students to give feedback. I think that just kind of creates like a environment where students or whoever you're involved with like feel like a sense of belonging and like they feel like they have a voice and are able to communicate what they feel or what they think needs to change or what they think was done well. I think it just kind of gives them an opportunity to, I guess, a sense of belonging and kind of, I guess, like my perspective is like I do a lot of like baseball coaching and like coaching youth and stuff like that. And I have noticed that if you allow kids to one, fail a little bit on their own and kind of figure it out on their own, they're very successful or they like end up being successful. And then allowing them to give you feedback on things they like and didn't like also like kind of keeps them engaged into what they're learning, as well as like just like leading by example and doing the things that you like are trying to teach them, and then allowing them to kind of like work it out on their own and like kind of chime in when you want or when you think they need it is at least for me like a massive. It like creates a lot of success for the kids.
Kind of building off of that, the Norris Terrell, I think is how you say that person's name. Um, they mentioned like structure and accountability. And I know that that sounds kind of weird to kind of put those things together, but whenever you're thinking about feedback, that's literally what you're doing. You're giving these students or whoever the opportunity to keep you accountable. Like say you said something in the syllabus and then 2 months later you're not doing that,
Right.
right? And so they're able to tell you. But then also whenever you're giving students or whoever you're working with feedback, you're keeping them accountable. Like, hey, I told you this is what you should be doing. How about you kind of fix this or whatever? And so it's kind of transparent and accountability and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, and that two-way communication really builds that trust. And that structure is, like both you and Braden were saying, is really where you thrive. And so something I found interesting when reading both articles was that they are saying something similar, but the functions they were focusing on, like Norris focused on the executive and staff level, and so how adult leaders are leading the organization, where Washburn was focusing on the volunteer or the client level, so how the staff would engage with volunteers and the youth themselves. So I feel like both of those integrate together really well. And so it brings up all that vision and alignment and the shared governance and that accountability and that really investing in people. And so I feel like these are two sort of theories that go really well together.
Yeah, and talking about that second article, I felt like I related back most to like the mission enthusiast category because the researchers in that article said these people care about the purpose behind the work and not just, strictly the work they're passionate about it. And I feel like because of that, they stay close to those programs, I guess, and they're involved in community engagement. And I feel like that part resonated with me the most. And I feel like they also tend to, I guess, stay committed longer in their work advances quicker, I guess. Like they move quicker because it's something, like I said, they're passionate about. So I think that one kind of can go hand in hand with what we were talking about. And for me personally, I think that's in my mind how I feel like I lead or would lead in a certain situation. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it
And
just creates a sense of like purpose and passion. Like you're not just there because it's a job. Like you're actually
Hmm.
passionate about it and like, trying to actually make a difference.
which is really motivating.
Hmm.
If you're not passionate about something, you're probably not going to be a very good leader or manager.
Very
No,
true.
absolutely. What you said, Macy, makes me think about teachers or ag agents, like the people you see in the same kind of position for decades, rather than moving up the ladder with their peers. Makes me think they're also those mission focused people,
I
like
can.
really in line with that sector.
Yeah, and I feel like combining both articles kind of together, I think leading by building relationships and not just handing out tasks to people. And I think also trying to create a space that fosters comfort and the ability for everybody to share their ideas in a safe place, like safe space, and not just following steps or like an assignment. And I think you need to be intentional about communication and making sure everyone understands why their part in something matters. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. And I think, like you said, both of these articles kind of can go hand in hand, but they're also very different. And I think combining both of them together, you could get a lot of good leadership ideas and styles out of it.
Where did everybody feel like they fell on that scale? You talked about mission orientation, um, like climbing the ladder. I'm trying to pull up the exact names again. But did anybody like put some thought into that?
Yes, let me.
Yeah,
The
after
mission
reading it,
enthusiasts. Oh, sorry.
sorry. I
Career
definitely think I'm a
climbers.
career climber, just because I like to build skills over time. Learning different parts of an organization. I've done a lot of internships and seen from the exhibitor part of it to the internship, and then like almost into employee. Uh, really taking on those roles and like watching people grow. This article made me think about how important it is to develop a strong mission and invest those continuous learning skills.
I'm trying to pull it.
It's nonprofit mission enthusiasts, sector switchers, and nonprofit career climbers.
Oh, yes. Let's see.
I feel
So,
like oh, sorry.
oh, go, girl.
I was just going to say that Cassidy, I think I relate to that a little bit in the sense of like, I really enjoy building up skills over time and have lots of interests. Um, in my work as an adult, ignoring my jobs as a teenager, I feel like I've stayed pretty much in the same sectors though, which is where I differ a little bit. But definitely, I feel like building those skills from different areas is so important, especially if you are going to be leading and managing.
I was literally gonna say the same. Like I enjoy a lot of different things, and as an ag teacher, I always say I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, because I literally will just do whatever the kids want, and I'll figure it out and learn all about it. Um, but at the same time, like I don't want to go do anything else. Like as of right now, yes, I'm getting my master's and I'll graduate in May, but I'll just use this to continue doing what I want to do, right? So I don't know that I'm gonna change any sector or anything like that. I'll just continue to gain more skills in that area.
Makes you
Yeah,
sound very mission focused.
Yes.
yeah. I kind of said what mine was when I last spoke, but I'll just kind of reiterate it. Like, I think I resonate the most with the mission enthusiast because I feel like I'm more passionate, I'm more productive, and I'm more interested in what I'm doing if the work aligns with something I believe in. Because it's very hard to be interested or want to work and want to succeed in something you don't see the value in or agree with.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm kind of struggling with it because I kind of fall into like two different characteristics, I feel like just kind of being in like my like line of work as a baseball player, like there's obviously like an innate like career climbing characteristic that I have is like I want to keep just climbing the ranks of what I'm where I'm playing, but also like I wouldn't be doing what I was doing if I wasn't like a mission enthusiast. So it's kind of like kind of have both, I think. And then
Mhm.
kind of like you said, Macy, like if regardless of sports or school or whatever it is, like if I'm like enthusiastic and like actually interested in what I'm learning about, I do a lot better work rather than something I'm like just not really that interested in. So I'm kind of like stuck between two characteristics.
Yeah, it's definitely hard because, like, Madeline was saying, like, I want to stay as a floral teacher in the future, and I want to get like everybody's inputs and things like that. So I'd want to find out and figure out how to do all these different things to like push my knowledge on them per se. But again, it's like pulling from different things, but also having that mission is important to me too. So it's kind of hard to pick just one. But when you said like jack of all trades, but like master at none, like I resonated with that so much. So that was like such a great point for it.
And what about in the other article, since I'm thinking about this, in the four levels, territorial, targeted, transitional, or transformational, where do y'all think you're at and where do you think you would best operate? Like based on your own leadership style.
100% transformational.
Mm.
Same.
No doubt.
So
Hmm.
yeah, so transformational.
It sounds like y'all are all very relationship oriented people.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me that kind of just goes in a part of how I was raised. And like I went to Catholic school my whole life, so I think that kind of is where I get that from because I feel like I've always had adults allow me to be a part of the conversation and not just let, a conversation that's affecting me just here's our decision. Like I've always been welcomed into the conversation and my input might not always be, you know, is what goes, but at least it was listened to and like they considered it, they heard me out, even though they might not agreed with it. So I think that's kind of why I'm like that. I think it's important to share decision making, especially when it affects, a part of a whole organization.
No, absolutely.
I agree with
I
that.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we could talk about as a leader, um how would we apply both articles in like a real life scenario. I feel like personally, like I said, I was a mission enthusiast, transformational. I think I would focus heavily on the mission because it helps me stay motivated and keep others around me motivated. And I think I would also lead by building relationships, not just handing out tasks to people or handing out assignments or whatever it is. And I think kind of reiterating what I said earlier, it's important to create a space where people feel welcomed and comfortable and they're okay with sharing ideas and not just following the steps or following the instructions just to get things done. And then I think kind of reiterating what I said earlier too, I think you have to be intentional about communication. And I think it's important to make sure everyone feels appreciated and understands why their work is important because that's how you keep people motivated.
Yeah, especially understanding like why you're doing what you're doing. That's very important because like sometimes if you're in a job and you're just kind of doing the work, it kind of feels like you're just like a robot kind of doing the same thing over and over again. But if you have a clear mission statement and everybody's on the same page and
Mhm.
engaging with each other and your boss is also like, I'm not pushing is like a little aggressive, but like I guess empowering you and like motivating you to follow that mission statement and follow like everybody else is on the same page with it too. I think that is kind of the style that I would follow as well, just making sure that everybody's contributing and, openly shares their opinions and decisions. And even though that kind of might lead to either arguments or like rough conversations, those are still good to have within a program or anything that you're doing, just so you can see everyone's perspectives and see how you can like work and navigate with each other to keep on that mission statement.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said, like basically you're just creating like a free market of ideas within the organization to allow everybody to input what
Mm-hmm.
they think.
Absolutely. And I work in youth nonprofit and we work with a lot of volunteers. Um, and I really liked Washburn's volunteer program design because I think it was a good reminder of the importance of embracing those principles of community based participation in your approach. And so involving those volunteers as like equal partners and have a role of that co-creation and decision making rather than just those generic position descriptions based on what the organization needs. You format it more towards that volunteer strength so they feel seen and important as an individual and collectively a part of that team working towards an important mission. And I think that's essential for having an effective and efficient and long lasting volunteer involvement. So that's something I really liked out of this article.
Just a heads up, our meeting will end in 10 minutes. But yeah, I didn't even think about it like that because I haven't worked in a lot of like youth organizations or volunteer organizations. And you're right, like you have to, make these volunteers feel seen or heard and feel like they have a say because why would they want to keep volunteering if they don't?
Mm-hmm.
We're I'm literally in the middle of a whole debacle with some parents that are volunteering for us this weekend. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
because we're so grateful for all of the help and we want them to feel like they are valued and they have a say in all of the things, but we're planning a prospect show and we told them months ago, hey, no food or drink vendors, but anything else. Well, yesterday we were told they had a food vendor. And so we're literally going back and forth talking to these parents, and no one wants to fight with anyone. I really don't want to fight with parents, but we have to remember that it's like all for a specific purpose. And so we're getting really caught up in the whole feelings thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And so I just feel like we have shifted from what I consider to be leadership from the teachers and the parents, and we're not showing the kids what needs to go on. Um, but just making sure that everybody has a voice in these moments is like super duper important to me. And so I don't know, that just kind of these articles and things like that, they're kind of putting that in my mind. That's also what's on my mind right now at this very moment. So I don't know if that made any sense, but just making sure that everyone is a part of something, right? They're not like being told what to do is really important.
Yeah, and I think kind of going off of like what you said with that, I think it's important if something isn't working, you fix it together instead of one side trying to micromanage and control the situation. Because like the parents could be doing that to you and you could be doing that to them, and it's just going to cause even more conflict and more problems. So if you just work together from the start, it can avoid all of that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah, try to
guess,
like kind of like changing the perspective of it. A lot of these youth organizations and nonprofits, or your volunteers are kind of like your forefront people who are going to engage with the public. So when you think about that, having your volunteers like a part of your decision making, it kind of not only helps them feel involved, but it also makes them informed on decisions and why they're made. So they can also spread that information to the public. So like when it's stock shows, when it comes to rules, having them in the meetings when those rules are made so they can understand that and, inform the public correctly and not just say it is because it's that way because
Right.
somebody else said it.
Good point. Didn't think
Yes.
about
So I guess we can kind of just wrap up our kind of synopsis on it in these last few minutes. So I feel like overall, my leadership and management style is collaboration, mission driven, and focus on engagement and inclusivity instead of control. And I think both articles reinforce that leadership isn't about doing something alone. It's about building people up, sharing responsibility, including them in decisions, and keeping the purpose and the mission at the center of your work because that's what everybody's there for and everybody has the same end goal.
Absolutely agree with that. I don't think I could have
Me
said it better.
too. I don't think
Yeah.
so.
it. That's well done. I got nothing after that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I would add is just the whole like feedback and accountability, making sure that everybody is
Hmm.
on the
Mm-hmm.
same page. Like what you said, but just adding those words in. I think that just
Mm-hmm.
in whole. There we go.
Yep. We kind of all have the same style and,
Yeah.
leadership
Mm-hmm.
She does
ideas.
that on purpose.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah, I
I think
think
we're
Yeah.
good.
so.
Okay, ending recording.